Good morning to you. Trust you are well. Welcome to your bite-sized word of encouragement today. I'm looking at the moment. I'm looking at the power of the word in my life personally. The power of a promise that God has given us, how it feeds us, fills us up, encourages us, strengthens us, heals us in a time of sorrow, and it's the food we eat. And I'm looking at the book of Joshua again with fresh eyes, because there were promises that were made to Moses that continued in the life of Joshua, because God said to Joshua a few times, as I said to Moses, as I was with Moses. It was like a repeat of what God had promised Moses that Joshua would walk in. And how in the book of Joshua they're instructed, this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, you shall meditate in it day and night. And so I feel that a lot of people have been through this journey recently, or maybe over a long period of time, where you sense that it's been a battle, it's been difficulty. And I want to tell you that just as we stand on the verge of occupying the promised land, the contention, the opposition is over your promised land. And God wants to give you more than you can think at the moment, because there's always a temptation to be focused on the battle, to be focused on how difficult it is, to be focused on how painful it is. So I want to read something to you to encourage you today. In verse 11 of Joshua chapter 1, Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, pass through the camp and command the people, saying, prepare provisions for yourself, for within 3 days you will cross over this Jordan to go in to possess the land which the Lord your God is giving you to possess. And then he says in verse 13, remember the word which Moses the servant of the Lord commanded you, saying, the Lord your God is giving you rest and is giving you this land. Here was another repeat, re-emphasizing, reminding them that God said that land was yours. Remember what God had said to Moses, this is your land. But now what I want to say to you today to encourage you is when he said, prepare provisions for yourselves, for within 3 days. They had a gap here, a space of time to prepare provisions. And we know it was what they needed to take with them on the journey to cross over. But now I want to say to you, I want to maybe look at it this way. If we continue to focus on the battle, the opposition, the contention over the promise, we're going to remember the pain, how painful it is. We're going to remember the loss, the sorrow, the feeling that maybe I should have done something differently, the regrets, the disappointments, the fear of failure again. All of those things are not the provisions we need to cross over. What we need to be doing in this season, and I believe it's for all of us in this season as we're about to go into something fresh, something new, something amazing, a time of breakthrough and increase, the promised land, the promise is being fulfilled. If we remember what has God done for us, what has he healed us of in the time we were in the wilderness, in the time we're being prepared for these great days we're stepping into, what has God freed us from? Fear of man, fear of failure, insecurity, the doubting and the questioning ourselves. Can we do this? God has freed you in a time of preparation, and maybe you don't realize it. But if you just have a glimpse, take your eyes off the pain, the disappointment, the fear of failure. If you take your eyes off those things for a second, you will see that you've actually been freed from those things. These are the provisions we need to gather as we cross over, are the freedom we walk in, the sense of knowing that God is with us, the word that he's given us that we continue to meditate in so we may observe to do the word. That's what it says in Joshua 1 verse 8. Meditate on the word day and night so that you may observe to do it. So I want to encourage you, and I'm speaking to myself today because I find myself in a situation where it's easy to meditate on the loss, the sorrow, the disappointment, and I want to get my eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and finisher of my faith, and what has he promised me? And what has he healed me from in a time where I could sit back and wallow in self-pity? What have we been freed from? So in your life, it could be anything. Fear of man, fear of taking that step in faith and making a mistake because it happened before. Gather your provisions. What did he say? Prepare provisions for yourself. You know, God has already provided for you. God has already gone before you to make the crooked places straight. He's already gone ahead of you. He's there waiting for you to step out in faith and trust him for the increase, the breakthrough, the healing, whatever it is. He's there with you. His glory is your rear guard. And you know what else God does? When the enemy is so working hard against God's people to step into their promises, God sends angel armies to fight on our behalf. The battle is God's, not ours. He sends his angelic help to minister to us, to strengthen us. He does everything for us that we need him to do, because we can't do this on our own. So prepare those provisions by going to God and saying, God, what have you healed me from? I want to celebrate the things that you've healed me from. I don't want to keep looking back at how painful it was and comparing my notes with everybody else because the journey was so painful. I want to be a person who gathers up the healing I've received, the strength I've received. The joy of the Lord is your strength, and God has already gone before us. So be encouraged with that today. The great promises are coming.